Hey there, welcome back to Coding at Home with the Code Hub, or Augmented Reality with the Code Hub, if you like. Today, you guessed it, we're going to be doing more augmented reality. We're going to be playing with Reality Composer again. Man, we've spent a lot of time on this horizontal plane and that using that as our anchor. And that's probably one of the most common use cases for augmented reality. You want to put something on a flat surface. So it makes sense that we spend a lot of time on it. I've been having a ton of fun. So far, we have our couple of rocket ships. One's a backup, one's the live one. When we tap on the rocket ship, it takes off. Last session, we added a planet and a moon, and the moon orbits around the planet. Today, we're going to expand on that a little bit. I know we had a request to go and specifically add the rocket landing on the moon. Maybe we'll try that out. I know I saw some excellent projects downstairs. There was a set of dominoes that used physics in Reality Composer so that when you flicked a marble off of the front domino, it would go and collapse all the other ones. We had a really cool ring of marbles around a cup that you could tap on the marbles and they would do different actions. Really nice uses of Reality Composer's physics models, and just a really fun way to explore playing with augmented reality and trying to generate something to put in real life just through the lens of your iPad. If you have any questions or recommendations or requests for stuff that we're going to cover either in augmented reality or otherwise, feel free to go to the discussions board on the codehub.ie/discussions. Drop us a note through there. Drop us a note at live@thecodehub.ie, and we'll try to discuss them during one of the upcoming sessions. But for today, we're going to go back to Reality Composer, back to the iPad, and try our hand at landing that rocket. All right, so here we are back on the iPad. We're going to open up Reality Composer. I've got my two rockets project. I'm zoomed way out. Yesterday, we looked at these options over here. I have this button here. If I tap on this button, the cube sort of surrounded by a dotted box, I can frame scene or frame selected. Now frame selected isn't highlighted because I don't have anything selected. If I go and tap on the planet that I designed, I can tap on that again. Then I can frame selected and I'll zoom in so that I get a view on exactly what it is I have selected. I can look at the properties for this particular object by tapping on this properties icon. That's planet fish. We have the scale of 100. We have the materials on it, the color, the diameter, that it participates in physics. This is the material it is. It's a concrete planet. And it's a sphere collision shape. So that's kind of inspecting that. There's this handy thing here, this magnet thing. You may have been wondering what it does. That helps you lock things to certain planes. It'll try to jump to the nearest sensible location. So if I turn that off, and we'll just, for a test, we'll add a new object. So we're going to hit the plus button. And I'm just going to add, let me add a cube for kicks. Now I'm going to get rid of this guy later. Now, when I'm going to zoom in by pinching and zooming in and then dragging around with one finger. I'm going to tap on my box. Now, when I drag this around, it stops exactly where I left it. I can also tap on these rings. So the blue ring will transform it along that axis. Tap on the green, I get a green ring. I can transform it on the x-axis. And the red will transform it, I think, on the z-axis. I could have had those wrong, but the nice thing is you can kind of do it visually. So you don't have to worry about, oh man, which one am I translating again? You can actually see it and feel it. All right, so this is with the magnet off. So if I tap on the magnet button and it's blue now, that tells me that it's on. Now when I move it, it's going to try to snap to things. So if I get close to the ground, say, see how it gave that last little jump? That's the magnet in action saying, oh, okay, you likely want this to land exactly on the plane. So that's kind of handy. I tend to leave the magnet on because I really like the way the Reality Composer will align stuff for me, for the most part. So those are two of the buttons over here. There's this button over here will undo anything. If I tap and press on it and then release, it'll show me what I'm undoing. So that'll undo the last move that I did. And if I do that one and then I tap and hold on it again and release, it'll give me the option to undo moving the object or redo the thing I just undid. Now this is just one scene we've been working on. Now we know that this is a whole project. If we hit the back arrow, we'll go back to our project list. So we have our two projects, two rockets project, this new project 7, new project 10, new project 9. These aren't named super well. So you can create different reality projects to create different scenes, or if you want to add additional scenes to this same project, you can go up here to this button and it'll show you different scenes that you can add. So if you hit the plus button, it'll add a new scene. You can choose a different anchor. So let's choose horizontal again. And I start over again. Now, if I want my scene to be somewhat related to my previous one, I might do something like this. I might tap and hold on this scene, and then the contextual menu will come up, and I can cut it, copy it, duplicate it, or delete it. I might hit duplicate to say, okay, cool, now this is what I want to work on. Maybe if I've already done all the work here, and I'm actually going to cut this one, so I'll tap and hold on that, and I'll delete it. Cut does the same thing as delete. It just saves it in your pasteboard. So if you want to paste it somewhere else, maybe in a different project, that's kind of handy. Whereas delete will just delete it and it won't save it in your pasteboard. And your pasteboard is useful for things like this. So when I tap on here, well, I don't have a paste option because I don't have anything in my pasteboard. But if I say copy this, and then I tap again down here, I have the option to paste it now. So the same thing, if I cut that, I would have the option to paste it and it would be the same scene. So we'll delete that. This is useful if I say I've spent so much time working on my planets, my little blue marble moon and my planet fish. Maybe that's what I want to focus on in the next scene, and I can get rid of the rockets. I could come to this scene and say, okay, cool, well, I'm going to get rid of, I actually don't want that in there, so I'm going to tap and hold on that, delete that object, delete that object, delete that object because I don't need my spaceships, and now I would maybe drag my planet down. So I'd tap on that and drag it, not like that. I would drag it down to the ground. And in fact, instead of dragging down to the ground, I might say, do you know what? I want the position to be 0, so it's going to be on the ground. And then same thing with the moon. Where did we put the moon? Somewhere way up here. There we go. Tap on the moon. Same thing, reset it, and then we'll probably have to move it because if we leave it at the same position as the planet, it's inside the planet, which is not a great place for a moon to be. So this might be the way I choose to progress through my scenes. I might decide, okay, cool, first I'm going to launch people into this scene with my rockets. Then I'll have this scene with the planet and the moon separate, and maybe I explore planetary motion or something there. But what we're interested in is we're not going to work on the planet and planetary motion. We're going to keep playing with our rockets a little bit. All right, so let's see. First off, let's get rid of this cube by tapping on it. Contextual menu comes up, then we hit delete. Now let's do it. Let's bring up the AR and we will start moving around a little bit. So here we turn on AR. Gonna move the iPad to start and find our plane. Okay, our guys are over there. Again, we've got to adjust them. So we want to drag these guys over here a bit. So I just tapped on the rocket ship and dragged it over here. We're actually gonna not have it launch off the launch pad anymore. We'll just have it launch off of the desk. I was trying to save it from burn marks, but there you go. So right now I'm in edit mode still. I can just see it in reality, placed in reality. I can see the planet above me. I can see the moon somewhere around me. Maybe it's on the other side of the planet. Now if I hit play, I'm going to assume that everything's all set up the way I want it to be set up. And I'm ready to launch these rockets and see what my behaviors look like. So I'm going to go tap on the play button over here. So everything's static. We're not moving around anymore. The grid has disappeared. So this looks more like a real scene. There we go. Planet is still there. In fact, we should see the moon coming around eventually. There it goes. There it goes, orbiting the planet. If we tap on the rocket, it takes off. There's our little mad scientist remnant. Oh man, do you know what? I've just turned on physics on my rocket, and that's not what I want to have happen. I don't want it to hit the planet, bounce off, and then come back crashing back down to Earth. That's not a great test of my rocket. So let's turn off AR for a second, and we'll inspect our properties on our rocket to make sure to maybe change our physics. So you can see right now, if I zoom in, I have my rocket selected here. This one is my launch rocket. I can see because I labeled it very helpfully. If I tap on the one behind, it says backup rocket. So I'm going to tap on this one. This is the one I'm interested in. I'm going to tap on my launch rocket. I don't mind, the transform stuff is looking good. The look is looking fine. So we changed this motion type. Maybe I did this last night after our session or immediately after our session. I changed the motion type to dynamic. It had been fixed. And remember, we changed it during yesterday's session, the material of this ship to plastic. Because what we did yesterday was we had a dynamic motion type. We didn't have any physics on the planet, so we kind of went up into the planet. But when we had a dynamic motion type for the rocket ship, it came crashing back down to Earth. And it crashed differently when it was made out of lead than when it's made out of plastic. It was a much bouncier reaction when it hit the plane again. So let's try turning that back to fixed and see what happens. Let's see what the difference is. So here, we'll turn on AR, we'll move the iPad to start. There we go. All right, we're sort of on our launch pad again. We'll move that out of the way. All right, we're going to hit play. And we're going to launch it. Okay, all right, it just kind of hit my planet. So that's it. We could say that we're done. We landed the rocket ship. Good job. But that's maybe not how we should land our rocket ship. I wouldn't call that a successful landing if we crash the front of the ship into the planet. So let's try to fix that. So there's a number of different ways that we could try to land this. If we were going to be realistic, maybe we would have to orbit the planet a bit first and then decide to make our approach at a certain time. Let's check out our behaviors that we have so far and figure out how we're launching up that far anyway. So we're going to hit this button here in the toolbar. This is for behaviors, so there we go. All right, so we have our launch rocket behavior. Behavior 1, let's inspect that one and see what that one does. Maybe we don't need that one because maybe it doesn't do anything. So right now it has one affected object. Let's see which one that is. All right, it's for the backup rocket ship. There's a trigger, but there's no action sequence set. So maybe we don't need that right now because if we tap it, then nothing's going to happen. So let's tap on behavior 1. We get a contextual menu. And we can delete it. Now, if you were working on this as a real scene and you were like, oh, I want to come back to have a behavior on that later though, You could disable it, but I'm going to actually delete it and get rid of that one. All right, so then we also have this moon orbit one. We can see that it's scene start. We have two affected objects. One affected object, and we look, where is it? Our affected object is that, here, let's go looking for the moon. Our affected object is, we zoom way out, we frame the whole scene. There we go. There's our affected object. So I just went up here. I couldn't find it. So I went here to frame scene. And that let me zoom out so that I could see all the objects in the scene. So now I could go and say, all right, so this in the center is, if I choose that, I can see that it's this object here. Okay, great. I'm happy with both of those. We have a certain duration. It goes kind of fast. It goes around 4 times. Maybe we make it a few more times. And it goes counterclockwise. So that's our moon orbit. If we play it, we can see that in action. Just tapping on the play button. There it goes again. We can slow it down. There we go. That's a bit better. Okay, cool. There's our moon. Rotating around. We can change the align to path and see what happens there. See what's different about it. I'm not 100% sure what's different there. We'll have to look into that one for tomorrow. But that's our orbit behavior. And this is the kind of fun thing about all this programming that we've been doing, is that there's nobody who knows absolutely everything. Oftentimes you have to go look stuff up and go digging for material. I showed you that really cool developer app the other day. You can go digging through there and look at videos and try to find instances of, well, what does that mean exactly? Or go to Google or your favorite search engine and say reality composer, behavior, orbit, aligned to path. And if you just throw out all those terms, there might be somebody who's either done a tutorial on that or who's had the same question and it's been answered somewhere. But it's all about, as you grow in your programming career, it's all a lot about finding out where to find stuff out. All right, so let's go back to our launch rocket behavior after that little aside. There's our affected object. It's our launch rocket. We have this action sequence here. And they're happening at the same time. Remember, we dragged this one onto the other one, so they happened at the same time. So let's see. So let's add a new behavior. So we want to have, like, what I'd like to do is I'd like to have this rocket down here launch up there. So we've got the move and scale by, rotate and scale by. We've got the spin of the other one. That one doesn't really matter. That's just our backup one spinning while the other one takes off. Let's add a behavior that happens when it collides with something else. So let's go here and add another action here. And let's see. So we don't have anything here for collisions. So where do we need to add that? Where have we seen collisions before? Well, I know in behaviors, for a trigger, we can see when an object collides with another object. So let's try this out. Let's add a new behavior here. So we'll go down and create a custom one. And we are going to rename this, and we're going to call it landing behavior. Okay, so we need to add a trigger to our landing behavior. So I'll tap on this spot here. And then I get my menu. And we have tap, scene start, proximity to camera, collide, notification. Well, collide seems like the one we want to use there. So let's tap on collide here. And this is a cool one because it gives us the affected objects and then the thing that they're colliding with. And you can see that I also get this little triangle, warning triangle, when I don't have all of the right things hooked up in a particular trigger or action sequence. So I'm going to tap on affected objects here. And let's make the rocket ship be the affected object. So when it collides, we're going to do something with it. And then the object that we want to know when it collides with something is, let's tap on the planet. Ooh, and it tells me the object planet fish is not a dynamic simulation object. Would we like to set its motion type property to dynamic? So let's try it anyway. Let's update it. We always have this undo button, or at least we know also what it's done. It's changed the physics property of our planet from fixed to dynamic. All right, so now I have to go and choose this again because you can see that it still says collides with none. So I have to choose there. So I'll pick the planet. Now that's cool. Now I have one object is affected, and then when it collides with one other object. Now let's add an action sequence. So let's move, rotate, scale by. We probably want it to turn around, right? So let's turn it around by doing this. We'll have it turn around. We'll have it take a little bit of time to turn around. We'll ease in and ease out. We'll clear the position because we don't care about the position. And actually, do you know what? If we look at this, the affected object is the planet. And I know that because this is the thing that's highlighted here, and I have one object affected. But it's not the planet that I want to have rotate. I want to have the ship rotate. So let's change that. Let's hit choose here. And now I'm going to tap on our launch rocket. And I'm going to also, now you can see that it's two affected objects. I don't want both to rotate. I want just the ship to rotate. So I'm going to tap on the planet. And now it's just one affected object. Okay, cool. So now we've got the right object is going to rotate. We've got a decent duration. We're happy with that animation type, ease in, ease out. The X, Y, Z position we're happy with. That's right, I said Z. Now, we're going to have this rotate on the Z axis. I said Z again. We're going to say, let's have it rotate 180 degrees so it rotates all the way around. So it's facing the other way. We're not going to change the scale because that would be a bit weird if the ship got bigger when it landed. So let's just hit the play button to see what happens. Okay. All right, cool. All right, that's kind of what we want. We want it to be facing that way at the end of all of it because it'll land on this side of the planet. Well, will we try playing it? Let's try playing it. Let's turn on AR. We'll have a look at the desk. Okay, cool. There's our backup one over there in the weeds. There's our rocket ship. I'm going to hit play. I'm happy with where they're placed. Oh, what just happened? So my planet just actually fell out of the sky. The moon followed it, which is great. Let's try that again. So we're here. Our planet is up there, nicely suspended in the sky. I hit play, and then the rocket kind of gets crushed by the planet. Well, let's try out our animation anyway. There won't be any planet there for us to hit anyway. So no collision happens. Bummer. Okay, well that's not going to work because our planet has disappeared. So let's turn off AR for a second. All right, that didn't work. We're not going to be able to use this collide mechanism. And also, I've got a bit of an issue here because it's saying the affected object should not be one of the collides with objects. So obviously, I've not selected the right things here. So let's see. The affected object shouldn't be this one. So now there are no affected objects when they collide. I want to pick one of these guys. Same thing. We had changed our launch rocket back, so it wasn't dynamic anymore. It was fixed. We'll have to update that again. So now I've gotten rid of that error. It's nice that it ran anyway, even though I had an error, the code still ran. And I was still able to view some of the simulation. There would have been an issue if I had actually collided the planet with itself, which would have been hard to do. All right, let's try playing this now. Let's see if that fixed it, making the ship dynamics. Let's see if that helped it. Let's hit play. No, there goes. Well, it sort of worked. Sort of. There's our planet off there. What happened was, I have my scene. My planet's up there in the sky. If I hit play, the planet comes down. It actually does collide with my ship. And then knocks it down. And has it flip. And then it changes its y-axis because it's facing there. It just actually went through the floor. So look out downstairs, I guess. All right, so that's not a successful landing. So let's turn off AR for a second and try to fix this. This collide behavior is not going to work because the planet can't have a dynamic body because it's going to fall. So there are some other ways we might be able to solve that. Well, one way I can think of quickly is let's turn off this landing behavior. So let's tap on it and then I'm going to delete it. And then we're going to tap on the planet because I want to go to inspect its properties. So I'm going to hit this properties inspector. And we're going to scroll down in here. Oops, help if I grab the accessibility thing. I'm going to scroll down in here to get to physics. And I'm going to change it back to fixed. So let's try playing this scene just to make sure. Okay, cool. I've got my moon is orbiting my planet. I've got my rocket ships down there. That one takes off. Okay, when it hits the planet, it bounces off. That's not great. But at least the planet's not falling out of the sky. I feel like that's a big improvement for us. All right, so what we could do is we could add an additional action sequence after all the other stuff happens to our rocket ship. Let's tap on the rocket ship because we also want to get rid of that case where it bounces into the planet and then bounces off. So let's turn it back to a fixed participates in physics. So now let's try playing that. If I tap on the rocket, it rises up. Okay, and it gets stuck into the planet. Okay, all right, well that's not bad. That's better than bouncing off and crashing back to Earth. Let's open up behaviors though, because this is where we're going to try to stick our landing. So I'm going to tap on this launch rocket behavior. Maybe we should rename it to launch and land rocket. So when we tap on this rocket, we're going to launch it. In the action sequence, we do a move up and spin at the same time. So the backup one will spin and then our rocket will move up. If we scroll up here, we move up 2 meters. Maybe we should change that a little bit. Maybe instead of 2 meters, it should be maybe like 1.8. Oops, that's I, not 8. Let's try running that and see what happens there. Let's see how far it gets up. Okay, so it was very quick, but it landed about there. Let's try now adding a new action sequence to flip our rocket around at the very end and have it land. So now I'm going to go, I tap the plus button for action sequence. I want to move, rotate, scale by again. And you notice there are 2 different boxes around these two. There's a different box around these 2 actions than this one. Because these 2 will happen first and then this one will happen. So let's pick our affected object. Let's tap on choose. We're going to have to go find our rocket. There, we're going to make it the launch rocket is going to be the one that we want to be affected. We're going to have them do it kind of slowly because you don't want to land quickly. So take a little bit over 4 seconds. We'll have it ease in, ease out. Actually, tell you what, we're going to have it just ease out. We're going to have it turn fast at the beginning and then slowly land it. We don't want to change the position, so we're going to hit clear because it gave us, when we added a new action sequence here, it gave us a suggested movement that we might want to do, but we don't want that, so we'll hit clear for position. And now for rotation, that rotating 180 degrees on the Z-axis worked pretty well, so let's do that. And again, we won't have it scale. Let's play that out. Behaves just like it did before. Okay, cool. Let's try the whole thing. Let's play it. There goes our rocket taking off. Ooh, it gets up there. All right. Well, that's not bad. We're just sort of suspended in air. Maybe what we need to do is add a little bit on our y-axis. So let's try that. Let's try moving that at the same time. So in our move, rotate, scale by, our new one here, our new action sequence, let's try changing this maybe by, let's try 40. And let's see how that works. I'm just playing with numbers. I didn't do any math. Let's just hit play. There we go. We're taking off. We get near our spot. We're rotating. We're still rising. Ooh, we're very close. And you know what? Maybe we need to rotate a little bit more. So let's tweak that a little bit. So instead of 40, we'll do maybe 60. And then let's do, instead of minus 180, we'll do minus 190. So we have a little bit of a turn so we can actually try to land flat on our surface. I'm going to turn on AR for this test so we can see it in real life. Then I'm going to tap on the play button. So we're ready to go. We're happy with where that's our backup. If I tap on that, nothing happens. I'm going to tap on our main rocket. Off it goes. Oh, gets near the planet. It rotates. It looks like I might have gone through it a little bit. Okay, I'm parked. Maybe it's a gooey planet. I know we said it was concrete, but maybe it's a bit gooey. All right, so that's it for landing our rocket. I think we've sort of got it there. We're stuck in this giant ice cream ball of a planet. What we're going to do tomorrow is we're going to move on from our rockets because obviously I'm certainly not going to be working for NASA anytime soon. I think if they see these videos, they may definitely spike any applications I put in. But what we're going to do is we're going to start working with vertical planes and anchors on vertical planes and see what we can do with that. And we're going to play with, next, one of my favorite things to play with ARKit is using image anchors. And I'll show you how to do that really relatively easily. So that's it for today. Hope you got your rocket to land without getting it stuck in the middle of a planet. Maybe what you might want to do is if you get it up there, instead of doing a rotation, you might have the rocket then orbit your planet. That might be another option. Play around with it. Add another action, add an orbit one, and see if maybe that's preferable to what we've wound up doing. Here, actually, we'll do that just as a last for kicks. So this will be our center object. We're going to give it a while to rotate around so it won't go quite as fast as the moon. Let's try it. Just before our very last thing. We're going to launch our rocket. Off we go. We got to our spot where you slowly rotate. And then we decide, actually, we're going to rotate around. Maybe that wasn't the best idea. because we should see our rocket coming around the side of the moon anytime now. There it is, kind of embedded in the planet. Not great. So that's it for today with the rockets. We'll play around with some more Reality Composer tomorrow, and we'll see you then.